Hey, good morning, good morning. And so totally apologize for the delay this morning on getting the show started. If you're all on here at 11 a.m. and we weren't here, we were having a little bit of technical difficulty. So we apologize for the delay, but never fear, the show's going to go on. The show always goes on, right? Is that what they say? So anyway, we're super thrilled. And yes, Tom Piscotto, I decided I was going to go ahead and wear my costume because why not? And I've got to say that, it's been since I was a kid, I was always interested in the whodunits and being a private investigator. And so I was really excited to put this show together. And I was even more excited to find out that there was others that were also very, very interested in the subject. So I'm going to go ahead and good morning, Merv. Nice to see you. I know a couple people were going to come on. My friend Steph, and she was message me and say she's interested in becoming a private investigator. So it's really exciting. So we look forward to welcoming Lynda Bergh Herring from LBJ Investigations. And she's got decades of experience and she's a friend, and really excited to have her share a little bit about her story and how, why she became a private investigator and how to do it, and give some advice to other entrepreneurs that might be thinking about becoming a private investigator. So, it looks like people are. Good morning, everyone. If you wouldn't mind, I appreciate you. You might just say good morning, and maybe where you're from. I know Steph she was going to log on from Albuquerque, so that was pretty exciting for me. But anyway, let's get busy and let's welcome, whoops, of course, let's welcome Lynda. So I'm going to go ahead and invite her in. There's Lynda.
Yes.
Hi, Lynda. And
Hi.
I'm going to go ahead and change the setup here so we can go ahead and present the slides, because I'm not going to really remember what to say unless I have the slides available to me. So anyway, just a little thing about me. I'm actually the CEO of Altair Business Solutions, and we provide all kinds of accounting and bookkeeping and tax services. And I've been doing it an awfully long time, and I just like to give back. And I love education. I'm just a lifelong learner, so I like to put together educational topics, whether it's tax related or entrepreneur related. It's all a lot of fun for me to do. And I got the best assistant ever, Lars, and she's just amazing. And she just goes the extra mile to make these things happen. So I'm really grateful for her. And she's in the studio also. So just another quick question. If you have any questions or if you want copies of the slides, make sure you reach out to her. Also, if you wouldn't mind going to our different social media platforms and liking and subscribing to our YouTube or our Facebook page, or joining our newsletter so you can get all the latest news on the tax topics coming up. And since Merv's in the house, I got to go ahead and say on Monday, he's going to be joining us, and we're going to be doing tax tips for musicians. And that's going to be a fun one, because a lot of musicians are out there now and they're playing music and they want to, they don't know if it's really a hobby or is it now a business. And so we're going to help those musicians kind of figure these things out. So we're really looking forward to having Merv on Monday, the 16th. So it's coming right up. So anyway, that's enough about me, my company. And so now let's talk about Lynda Bergh Herring and our private investigator and our guest today. So yes, the topic was want to learn more about private investigations. And, I had a fun time with, putting together my little costume and doing the videos. And I wish I could just do that all day long. Unfortunately, I got to do other things. But I really enjoy doing this. So anyway, our topics today, we're going to introduce Lynda Bergh Herring, and we're going to talk about private investigators and how to become a private investigator. And then we're also going to learn a little bit about the life of a private investigator. So anyway, hi, Lynda. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I can hear you too.
We made it. We're here. Yay.
Yes, yes. And I'm so glad we kept going. It was like, oh my gosh, there's nothing like technical difficulties, like right at the last minute when you're gonna, go on. And it always happens. And my glasses broke, so I'm taping up the thing on my glasses because I can't really even see. So anyway, well, we all made it. So, and here we go. Anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask you a few questions, and you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll just go ahead and ask a few questions. And we're just really looking forward to your candid responses, and this is going to be fun. So thank you, Lynda.
Of course. So you want me to start?
Yes.
What do I do?
Okay. A little bit about yourself.
Something I don't do is wear a cute little hat like yours. That's adorable. I think I need to get one.
You can have this one when we're done.
I'm going to inherit one. Okay.
In my magnifying glass.
So a private investigator basically digs up and gathers clues, which are then evaluated and utilized to put together a puzzle. Just like a puzzle, jigsaw pieces to determine who, what, where, when, how, and why something occurred. And we investigate all kinds of things: traffic accidents, work-related injuries, slips and falls, sexual assaults, all kinds of things. We also locate missing people. We locate witnesses. We locate children. I go out and I inspect accident scenes. I can do reconstruction of traffic accidents, equipment-related accidents on job sites, trial preparation. I evaluate witnesses. I conduct in-depth research via open source intelligence online and via public records. So I do a lot of stuff. There is a lot involved.
Yeah, that's super cool. Okay, so what do they do? Yeah, I guess they do a lot of stuff. And there's so many different areas like within private investigation. It's kind of like taxes, we just can't do, but you pretty much do it all.
I do.
So, but there's just like some things that we kind of do better than others, I suppose. But it's like, yeah, it's super cool. My sister she's just finished her PhD, and she's an anthropologist, and she used to teach the forensic anthropology, and cool. She loved bones and stuff like that. So it was anyway, so it was a lot of fun. So so Merv's asking, do you investigate financial issues? So of course he's interested in I was mentioning that about doing the forensic accounting not too long ago. So
I do. I can answer that quick. I do asset searches. I do not do forensic accounting though.
Yeah.
So I do some of it. And then you need Jenee for the other part.
Okay, thanks. Well, Merv's a CPA himself, so I think he's like, maybe that's why he's inquiring.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's awesome. It's nice that he's participating in the games, Merv. Okay, so how do you become a private investigator? And in these days, I know some states require, licensing or schools, and some or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like if someone who didn't know anything about being one but wanted to be one, what advice would you give them to become a private investigator?
Okay, well, in the state of California, and like Jenee just said, all the states are different. Most states do have licensing requirements. There's a few that still don't. You can just say, I want to be one, and now I am one. California is not one of those states. So you have to be 18 years of age, which makes sense. And then you either have to acquire 6,000 hours of experience working under a licensed investigator. That's the equivalent of 3 years full time, or 4,000 hours plus possessing a bachelor's degree in a related topic, like, criminal justice, something like that, or 5,000 hours of experience and an industry related AA degree. So there's a lot. The best thing is to do that 6,000 hours working for somebody, because you get invaluable on the job training. It's amazing. Yeah. That's what I did. I went kind of above and beyond before I got my license, because I had the world's greatest boss, but that's another story. And then you have to pass a background check by both the Department of Justice and the FBI. And then you take a 2-hour multiple choice exam. It's like a micro bar exam. It's a teeny little, but there's a lot covered in that exam. and then you select the name for your company and you apply and you hope your name gets approved. I used my then initials, LJB Investigations, not LBJ, like someone said.
Oh, I think I
Um,
said that.
and anyone of a
I think
certain
that's the
age
president.
says that. People date themselves by saying that. It's very funny. My dad's even done that. Like, I'm your daughter, you don't know my initials. But anyway, so once that's approved, then you submit your licensing fee and then you start looking for clients. So yeah, so those are the
Yeah.
steps here.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work you got to put into it to be one.
There is. Yeah.
Especially in California.
Yeah.
And,
And most states require quite a bit as well.
well, I think it's
California and
kind of
Texas are the
important.
most difficult. So
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of important. I mean,
yeah,
right? Because
absolutely.
you want to know that when you're going to hire someone, that you're, hiring someone that knows what they're doing and they're ethical and they're following the rules and all that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, all right. So this is the part. Why did you choose to be a private investigator? So tell me your story. Because, like,
Well,
were you a little girl and you just like wanted to be a PI?
no, this is funny because
Okay.
there's two questions. This slide and the next slide kind of go together. So actually, being a PI chose me.
Okay.
That's my answer to this one. When I was a little girl, I have 3 older brothers and I'm the only girl. So, and I was a ballerina. So obviously when I was playing with my brothers, I wasn't a ballerina. I had to be something. I was an investigative reporter. I even had a different name I used. So, but I never, and I loved Nancy Drew books like everybody
Yeah.
did, but still I thought I was going to be a ballerina. I did not think I was ever going to do anything else. So, we'll go to the next question.
Okay.
I can describe what happened.
Okay, so you wanted to be a ballerina, not a PI. Okay,
So this could be the title of my book someday. A funny thing happened on the way to the ballet. I really, really was a serious ballet dancer. It wasn't like every little girl that has a tutu and says, I'm going to be a ballerina. That my life was focused on that.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was on the precipice of going off to, have a ballet career. And I got a part-time summer job at my local police department, a clerical job. It was just something to make some extra money before I took off to New York. And one night on my way to work, there was literally a shootout going on behind the police station. I drove into the parking lot, safely into the parking lot. And some officers came running out the back door and said, they're like, we got to get down, get down, get down. Someone knocked me down for my safety. It was a legit thing, shattered my left kneecap.
Oh my God.
The ballet career ended right there.
Oh my God.
Right then and there. There was so I worked in law enforcement for a few years, started out clerical, and then I got to do some other fun stuff that wasn't clerical, that's confidential, shall we say.
Okay.
So I did do actual law enforcement work. And then when I got out of law enforcement, I had married my first husband. He was in law enforcement. We decided one was enough. And so he was older than me, he had a teenage daughter, and we kind of wanted me at home. So I started a typing and transcription business because I could not do that, sit at home, do nothing thing.
Yeah.
There was no way. So by coincidence, my first 5 or 6 typing clients were private investigators. I did not seek them out. They sought me out. I advertised in the Penny Saver, for anyone who remembers that, and the Orange County Register, because this was 1981 when I started this. And I don't know, about 6 months into it, I was dropping off some completed work to a client, and she got a phone call about a death on a construction site. And when that happened, most of what her investigations that she did were workers' comp. So when a serious accident happens, the insurance company wants an investigator out there instantly.
Yeah.
So they called. Well, no cell phones then, no pages or anything. All of her investigators are already out in the field working on things. And she literally looked at me and she said, oh, you can do this. And she handed me a pad of paper, a pen, a camera, film, flash cubes, those little flash cubes that go, yeah. Flash cubes, tape recorder, cassettes, and said, go. And that's how I started working as a private investigator. So I'd like to say I fell into it, basically. Had I not thrown to the ground.
Notice the pen. Oh my gosh. Well,
you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I was going to be a rock and roll star, but it didn't really work out that
Things happen. Yeah. You're
things
still working
happen.
on that though,
Yes.
right?
Well, I like to pretend. Obviously, I'm in my PI costume. So, oh, that's great. So, so I think, well, you kind of talked about the special trainings because, I mean, you had to pass all these tests and do all these hours. So you basically were like on the job training for
Well, it
months.
is on the job training, but there's a whole lot of additional training.
Yeah.
So, like for instance, a police officer, like when I went through the police academy, you learn the penal code and the vehicle code, and you learn some of the codes. There's 58. There's a lot of different codes. I just spaced on the number in California law. And private investigators have to know some of almost all of them.
Yeah.
And not that I'm, dissing law enforcement, love law enforcement. But there's a lot of different training. And so even though I got a lot of on the job training, my boss, she encouraged us to get training doing other things. So, we did mostly workers' comp, but she sent me to accident reconstruction school. I did a lot of stuff on my own. During the 42 years I've been doing this, I constantly do training. I attend conferences at least once a year, preferably more. And now online, there's webinars and workshops and all kinds of things. So, and laws are changing all the time. You have to stay up on them.
Yeah.
So it's a constant thing. I always say, if you're going to hire an investigator, ask them the last time they went to a conference or completed any training. If they haven't done it in 20 years since they got their license, don't hire them.
Yeah.
Because chances are they don't know what they're doing.
Really,
as far as the legalities are concerned. And you don't want to spend a bunch of money on an investigation and try to stick something in the court and have a judge go, oh, we can't use that.
Yeah, right.
Or do something that can get you in trouble and you lose your license. So it's important to keep up on training constantly.
Right. Yeah. Very important.
Yeah.
And kind of the same in the tax code, right?
Well, yeah, there's things change in the codes all the time in the laws. So you have to stay up. So many things have changed during the years I've done this. There were so many things we used to be able to legally do that we can't do now.
Really?
Which is very frustrating at times. Oh, yeah. We used to be able to get banking information with a phone call.
Yeah.
Now you need a subpoena. We used to be able to get phone records, same way, with a phone call. You could get calls, numbers called and things. It was legal. Yeah. And we weren't getting it for, illegal reasons. So,
yeah, right. Well, even in the financial industry, I mean, we would call and make sure that they had money in the bank for a check. I mean, there was like a lot more freedoms even in a number of things as far as, but Merv's got a question. He wants to know if your job is dangerous and do you carry a gun?
It can be very, very dangerous. Most of the time it's not. I have a CCW, so I can carry a gun as a private person. I do not carry when I'm working as an investigator. It requires a different license that I purposely do not have because I'd rather not carry while I'm working as an investigator.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and dangerous. The most dangerous thing ever I experienced, even when I was in law enforcement, I wasn't in as much danger as I was as a private investigator. And that's because when I was very young, early on, if my boss said, you go get that interview right now today, I would go anywhere. And so I had a case pretty early on with, there's always construction site accidents, a fall off scaffolding at a construction site where someone died. And of course, the employer wants to send all the employees home instantly. We want to get their interviews as quickly as possible. So sometimes we have to go to their homes. And the guy that had been up on the scaffolding with the guy who died had gone home. He lived in South Central LA, was going to go out of town the next day. So I went to his house at 11 o'clock at night to interview him. My boss just about killed me when
oh my gosh.
I went and got his interview. And we had to do a written statement. So I was handwriting what he was saying. And then when I would get done, I'd have him read it, make any corrections, and sign it. So we get to the part where I say, so what happened? And he says, I pushed that blankety blank off there.
Oh my God.
And I'm writing and I'm thinking, I'm going to die in this house tonight.
Oh my God.
I mean, literally. And I kind of looked at him. I go, what? And he goes, I pushed him. And I was like, oh. And I kind of acted like, I was like, oh, well, why would you do that? Just like, he sold me some bad, whatever kind of drug it was at the time. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And I just kept writing just like it was a normal conversation. I kept writing. I wrote the rest of the statement. It ended up being like 5 pages long. And so I handed it to him and I'm done. And I said, okay, I need you to read this and initial any changes you make and initial the lower corner of each page and then sign it. And the guy literally just took it and he didn't read it at all. He just signed the corners and then signed it.
Oh my God.
And and then I left. I have never moved so fast in my life as I did once. I very calmly got in my car, drove around the corner, and then I drove about 100 miles an hour to the closest police station. I walk into an LAPD station and I've got the papers and I'm holding them in my hand and I'm shaking like a leaf and I go, this guy just confessed to murder. Here's his statement. But I literally thought I was going to die that night. I thought, this is it. I'm going to die and no one's going to know what happened to me till they figure out I'm missing because no one knew where I was.
Oh my gosh. And your boss would have been mad.
Oh, my boss just about killed me when I told her what happened.
Yeah. So that's kind of about this slide, isn't it?
I have a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of special cases I work on. But yeah, that was especially the scariest one.
The scariest one, because we're wanting to know about the guns.
Yeah. They're all, all the cases are different. Everything's different. You have to be able to think on your feet. You never really know what's going to happen. Yeah. So you got to be good at improvising and, thinking. The most gratifying work I do definitely has to do with locating and rescuing kids.
Yes.
For sure. It's also the work I wish didn't exist for obvious reasons. But I've done a lot of cases, that have saved clients lots and lots of money. There have been some cases that didn't save clients anything because there was actually nothing going on. Merv just asked if I'm on the job 24/7 or 9 to 5. I'm on 24/7, 365. If there's, especially if it's a kid related, something having to do with children, I've gone out on Christmas before. So yeah, I do whatever needs to be done whenever it needs to be done. So yeah, the special, they're all special. I don't know what to say on that. I've had some where we rescued kids and unfortunately the kids went back to the person that was trafficking them. That happens.
Oh my God.
I've got a case, I think I haven't heard, but I have a case that, I worked several years ago with a guy that was in a very, very minor fender bender while he was on vacation in Canada. He lived in Irvine. So it was literally a fender bender, but he claimed whiplash. Okay. So, the insurance company's thinking, whatever, mild whiplash, we'll just give him a few bucks and he'll go away. No, he decided he was going to retire on that accident. So I got hired by the Canadian insurance company to follow this guy in Irvine.
Oh, wow.
And he was claiming he couldn't work, that he couldn't play with his kids, that he couldn't work around his house, all this stuff. So we did a ton of surveillance on this guy and kept getting him. He was going to work every day. He had a 3 or 4-year-old little boy who he would pick up and throw in the air and swing around and, very rambunctious with this kid.
Yeah.
Never acted like he was in any pain or anything. Never missed work, nothing. And we must have done 60 to 70 hours of surveillance on this guy. And I kept turning in the stuff to the insurance company and they're like, oh, this is great. But his attorney would not give up. And so finally, the guy said that he had been offered a job. He was an engineer. And he said he'd been offered a job with another company at a hugely increased salary. And he had to turn it down because of this injury. So that was why he was going to get $10 million out of this insurance company.
Oh my God.
They call me and they go, okay, he claims he got a written job offer. Can you find it? And I was like, challenge accepted, because I love a challenge.
Yeah.
So I sat in my computer and Googled the guy's name. And on page 27 of the Google results, about halfway down the page, sure enough, there was a proposal for a project. And his name was in there. It was a very lengthy proposal. It was like 150 pages long. I had to go through I got to like page 147. I finally found the part where they referred to our claimant. And he was indeed offered a position, but it was at the same exact amount of money he was already making.
Yeah. So
that right there saved my client $10 million.
That is crazy.
And that's where, when you Google something or you're searching for something, I don't go, oh, I didn't find it after I scroll through 3 things.
Right.
It took me hours, but I found it. And that's, my husband says I can find a needle in the haystack. I did on that one for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So that
almost
was
like going down a rabbit hole, because then you kind of got to go through, all the tunnels and find out where.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not giving up.
Right,
That guy said he signed it, and it's a company. It's a big, huge project. It has civil engineering involved. There was going to be paperwork somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was going to find it, and I did. So that was huge. And then I almost had to go to Canada and testify in court. Luckily, I did not. They decided to settle.
Oh, they did.
Yeah. And what's good in Canada, if you file a false claim, guess who has to pay all the expenses?
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
I know. It should be that way here, but it's not. So it cost that guy a lot of money because they paid me a lot. I know they paid other people a lot on that thing. Yeah. So that was a fun one, and probably my best little finding that little teeny tiny tidbit of information that saved someone a ton of money.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So what are your spots? Because I kind of know, because we share about that in our things, but why don't you share with the audience what your specialties are?
Sure. Yeah. So I purposely do not specialize in one particular area.
Uh-huh.
And I did that on purpose because when I worked for my first boss, like I said, almost all she did was workers' comp. And at that point in time, during the summer and between like Thanksgiving and New Year's, there was no work. And I was single and my sole means of support, and I needed money all year round.
Yeah.
So I purposely learned how to do other things. Obviously, a lot of my work revolves around children's safety. One of the very first cases that I worked after I was hired by my first boss involved a little girl who was kidnapped by her uncle, 10-year-old girl, kidnapped by her uncle, raped multiple times over a short period of time, and then sold for sex. So he trafficked her. He was a monster. He trafficked his niece. And from that point on, I've been very, very focused on children's safety. But I also, I do asset searches, background checks. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at the comments. I do due diligence. I do cyber crimes. I do elder abuse, tenant screenings, pretty much anything you can think of where you want to know something about someone or about an entity. I do it. The only thing I do not do is follow cheating spouses. There's not enough money in the world to get me to do that.
Yeah.
Those are just nightmare cases. I do not do them. I will do child custody compliance. So I will follow a parent with a child to make sure that the parent is complying with the court has told them they can do. We get a lot of cases where one parent or the other has been told they're not allowed to have any alcohol, 24 hours before visitation. And so we follow them around and watch them drink.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, yeah. That happens a lot. So I do those, but I do not follow cheating spouses ever. And then in addition to doing investigations, I also do workshops, sharing information with children and parents regarding how to identify predators online and in the real world. And to, so that the kids know what to look for when they're online. And there are monsters out there. There's at least 500,000 predators online at any given moment, just waiting for a child that they can talk to. And they try to groom them, entice them, sextort them.
Yeah.
Get them to meet up, and they traffic them. Sometimes they kill them. Sextortion can lead to suicide. It's terrible. So I do those workshops. I can do them online. I do them in person. I will talk to anybody about that topic anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
So that's, and then I have a book coming out that's about that too. So I'm an investigator and I'm a workshopy person.
Yeah, you're awesome.
And an author. So I'm so excited about that.
That is super cool. I can't wait. I can't wait to read it. Yeah.
It'll be out soon.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's so cool. All right. But I hope I get it signed too.
Oh, absolutely. Of course.
So I know Lars and we were like putting the slides together, and we were thinking, oh, yeah, let's ask her about her gadgets. Because, anyway, because there's always, and I know you have a few gadgets that you can use, and I don't know what you can share with us, because, but I know, different cool spy gear and whatnot, and whatever you use. And what, and I'm going to date myself again with an Inspector Gadget show because, it was all about the gadgets. So.
I personally don't use a ton of gadgets. Most of what I do involves my computer. I have a digital recorder for when I record interviews, because some clients prefer that as opposed to now you can use a phone for most of it. I do have a couple cool cameras. My favorite gadget's called a Data Pilot, and Million Kids, which is a nonprofit that I do a lot of speaking on behalf of, they actually got it for me. Million Kids got 3 of them. One that Million Kids office has, another nonprofit has, and then one that I have. And that little gadget, it's about twice the size of a cell phone. And it allows me to copy every single thing off a phone, a PlayStation, a computer, anything. And that includes things that are deleted or erased.
Oh, wow.
You can get text messages, phone calls, videos, photos, chat messages, everything. So I was like a little kid on Christmas morning when that arrived. I was so excited. When we were put on evacuation warning here day before yesterday, the first thing I grabbed to put in my car was that. Yeah. Because it's extremely valuable. And it's my baby. I was like, I'm looking at my dog going, okay, you're coming too, but this has to go in the car. So it's the most amazing thing. And I use that on missing child cases and trafficking cases and extortion cases. And it helps us figure out who the kids have been talking to. Wow. I have had some parents hire me just to check their kids' phones, which I can do with that. And we can find out who they're talking to and preemptively take action to protect them from predators. But it is the most amazing piece of equipment. It's just, can you tell I'm all excited?
Yeah, it's
just
cool.
Awesome.
That is very cool.
See, so, and yes, Merv, sometimes I am called to testify in court. Not very often, but every now and then I have to. I interrupted you to answer a question.
Oh no, I was going to tell you what about Merv asking the questions. You saved me.
Since I'm using my phone instead of my computer, the thing's right in front of me. So this is, I apologize to everybody for the view of me. It's a little weird today, but
we tried to get your camera and so forth working, but we were so glad that you at least could get on with your phone. And
I know.
So, yeah. Well, let's see. Okay, so we asked what is your most interesting case. You've already shared a couple. I mean, do you have a most interesting, since you've already known the questions? Did you save a most interesting?
Well, I was going to talk about the one where I saved the $10 million, but I jumped ahead of myself. So that's probably the most interesting just because.
Yeah.
But then I do, I deal with I do law enforcement and firefighter pre-employment backgrounds, and those can be interesting at times.
Yeah.
I just recently had one that the guy... We're all adults here, right? The guy was a porn star. He forgot to tell us. So I'm doing part of the background. We do a social media check. And I look at his Instagram and he's got 3 million followers. And I'm like, who has 3 million followers? Not some guy that works in, social media. Well, his social media was very different than ours, shall we say? So I started digging into that, and I called the guy I do the backgrounds for, and I go, okay, I found something a little disturbing. At least, not judging. People can do whatever they want. He wasn't doing anything illegal. Right. It was all adult.
Yeah.
And I know way too much about that guy now. But
See.
I was like, this is really not, what I would consider appropriate for a police officer. Of course, I'm not the one that makes the decision. So, there are certain guidelines that are followed by state law. And I said, can we just disqualify this guy now? Or do I really have to dig into this particular subject? And so the guy doing this, he's laughing hysterically. I'm always the one that gets the really uncomfortable stuff. It's always me. So it just works out that way. I guess I'm blessed. But he called the agency this guy had applied to, and they go, oh, yeah, we kind of knew about that. Oh, thanks for warning us. And they said, and we want as much of it documented as possible because we're going to make sure this guy never gets hired by any law enforcement agency ever. So I literally spent 10 hours trolling through porn,
Oh my God.
getting all these links of videos of this guy. And unfortunately, his husband is a police officer already somewhere. And they did a video together that was not pornographic, but they did a video together with his husband in uniform. And they were saying that only gay guys ticket gay guys. Or, it was just kind of supposed to be a funny thing. But his husband has since gotten fired because of that video.
Oh no.
So my applicant's never going to be a police officer. His husband probably won't ever be one again. But so that was, I guess we could call that interesting. It was traumatic. It was not remotely fun.
Imagine. Yeah.
And then my husband walks in and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Just leave the room right now."
I'm just watching some porn, honey.
It wasn't an idea. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, at least he understands, right?
Yeah. Well, at least it wasn't kids. There were no kids involved because I do, when I search child stuff that has to do with that, I have filters on my computer. So, and I have a specific computer I use just for that. I go into the deep web and the dark web looking for, kids that are being trafficked. And obviously there's all kinds of horrendous stuff there, but I have filters. So I don't actually, what's happening, but you don't actually see it.
Yeah.
So, and that stuff, that's traumatic.
Yeah, that would
anyway, which is why you can't really see my office very well because of what I'm using right now. But my house looks like little kids live in it. And there's a reason for that. And that's because when I'm not working on all this evil stuff, I do many childlike things.
Yeah.
But, I craft and I have teddy bears and I, things to totally compartmentalize and take my mind off whatever I'm investigating or doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine it gets difficult.
It can. Yeah, it can.
I just would like the gadgets.
Once in a while, I use a magnifying glass. Yeah. I used one just the other day trying to read something on the computer. I don't know if that's an age thing or an investigator thing.
Oh, really? So you really actually use a magnifying glass?
I do. I have one right here. It's always here on my bed.
See, I got mine too.
There we go.
My pretend one.
I have my real one. I do use it. Yeah. I have a really cool necklace that my first boss gave me that has it just looks like this fancy little circular, pendant thing, but it's a magnifying glass. It's the coolest thing. But anyway, I digress. So what does a private investigator need in order to look for someone? Well, I need a name. Sometimes I just need a phone number. I have a client who is an attorney who just loves to text me late at night and go, "Hey, my client needs information on the person that uses this phone number." And that's all she tells me.
Wow.
And and I'm like, do they know anything else at all? Like any little tidbits of information. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Clients have a tendency to withhold information, shall we say? And I'm always like, it's going to cost you a lot less money if you tell me everything you already know. Because otherwise I'm going to recreate the wheel. But no, literally I have done it with just a phone number or with just a screen name or with just a name. I prefer to have more information, like a name, approximate age, date of birth if it's known. It's not always known. An address or a city where they live.
Yeah.
Maybe something about what they do for a living. Things like basic information you tend to know about people. Things like that help a lot. But literally, I can start with almost nothing and still most of the time do it. Once in a while, you get someone that really wants to hide.
Yeah. So is that like what they call skip tracing?
Yes. It's either skip tracing or locating. Yeah.
Okay. So what does skip tracing mean?
You're trying to track down someone that skipped out on a bill.
Oh, skipped. Okay. I get it.
It's not as clever as it sounds.
Okay. All right.
Someone thought that was, I'm like, you're locating a missing person. No, we're skip tracing them. It's like the people that do skip tracing get very offended if we call it something else.
Oh.
So it's kind of funny. So I'll, every now and then I've got a couple that I talk to regularly and go, "So who are you skipping after today?"
That's cute.
Investigators skip tracing humor.
Yeah. Well, we've shared many interesting stories.
For more of those, you're going to have to wait till I write my big girl book.
Huh?
I'm going to write my book that's coming out soon is called an itty bitty book. It's being done by Itty Bitty
Oh,
Publishing.
okay.
So
Okay, so I know
I'm in the future going to write a big girl book. So my big girl book will have all kinds of stories in there. But the
yeah.
itty bitty one's coming out
So
first.
you're doing the itty bitty one. Okay, so yeah, I know Susie Pruden and
Oh,
then
yeah.
yeah. And I noticed we had those friends in common too. I was like, oh, it's so weird. We have so many different friends in common from different circles too.
I
So
know.
it was like, what's going on here? But anyway, so yeah, so I think you went over what all the things you need to do to become one here. But again, if you were gonna someone wanted to, what would your advice be to someone who is really inspiring to be a private investigator? Besides getting the training, because there are other things that, that they can do to help them prepare for that type of training.
There are, yes. A lot of people think that, cops retire and become private investigators. There are a lot of private investigators who used to be in law enforcement, but even they will say they don't make the best private investigators because it's such a big difference in what they can and can't do and how they can and can't do things. Education is important as far as degrees go. And I kind of laugh about this. I have 3 degrees. I have bachelor's degrees in criminal justice and psychology, and then a master's in public administration. The degree I use the most as a private investigator is the psychology degree. And that's because you need to be really, really good at quickly and effectively establishing a rapport with people. I can get anybody to talk to me about anything. And that's super important. You have to. It's, I frequently get calls from people that, this witness just will not give me an interview, won't talk to me. I get them to talk to me. So that's really, really important. And then tuning into your intuition is really important. I use intuition a lot on the job. I get that little gut feeling or wake up at 3 a.m. with an idea or something on an investigation I'm kind of stuck on. Pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah.
And then do not fall for an online course to learn how to be a PI because most of those are scams.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's really good advice.
So really find a firm that will hire you as an intern or as, to do your first hours. You get much better experience and training on the job than in any classroom. And I know there's a few courses, how to become a private investigator. Well, and then they'll say, get your certificate. Well, a private investigator certificate means nothing in California.
So interesting.
It's like, oh, I took a class. Okay, I got a certificate. It doesn't help you get the job.
Right.
So
you still got to do that 5,000 hours or whatever.
Yeah, between 4,000 and 6,000 hours, depending. I did like 12 years. I did like 24,000 hours. But anyway, I had the world's greatest boss. I didn't want to leave her. And so when I finally went out on my own, it was because she started threatening to retire. And then she worked until she was 82 years old. And I intend to do the same thing. Yeah. I'm not going to retire because I love what I do. When she did retire, then she kept asking me for work, which was kind of adorable.
Yeah. So I have a friend who's watching, and she said she put it in the chat, but I don't see it in the chat. But she wanted to ask you how she would find someone willing to hire her for her hours to do, like if she wanted to become a private investigator.
You need to find kind of the larger PI firms. Like I do not have any employees. I will never have an employee. I made that decision based on all the workers' comp investigations I did many years ago. So, but there are a lot of companies out there. You can Google private investigation companies in your area, and then just contact them. That's your best bet on that.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Lynda. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, so anyway, here's all about Lynda. Here's her contact information. And I advise you because, like I said, you can go ahead and save the slides if you want to go back and review them later or watch this again. But this is definitely information that you want to keep handy. Because if you ever happen to be into a situation, which Lord forbid we'd ever have to be in a situation where we would need Lynda, but it sure is a good feeling to know you got her there, and all you got to do is make a phone call or give her, email her and let her know what's going on, and she's going to be there to help you with
Yeah.
all that years of experience. And we're just so fortunate that you're going to be working till you're 82.
At least. However long I stay alive, whatever, I will do it. Yeah. My boss, actually, 6 months after she retired, she passed away. And I was like, that's going to be me. I'm going to be I'm going to still be working. I am not going to retire. But
I feel the same. Yeah.
And then everybody, you can find me super easy on social media too. I'm all over social media. So if you want to connect with me, feel free.
Yeah. Very good, Lynda. Well, I can't even begin to thank you enough for doing this. It's actually my first entrepreneur one back in a year or so. So, and I've been really wanting to do these ones because I think these are kind of the most fun for me, because I get to interview other people and learn about their careers, and and give advice to others that think they might want to get involved in that career. There's just so many different possibilities, and this one was always fascinating to me. So I'm really thrilled that you agreed to do this show with me. So
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Lynda. And so I think, well, you know how to reach me. Make sure though, if you want to see any future shows, that you like and subscribe to ours. Different social media platforms, that'd be fantastic. Sign up for our newsletter, and find Lynda on the Facebook or anything if you need to reach out to her, because she's all over, like she said, and she's always posting information about, let's say, because there's a number of scams where they're posting about missing kids and they're not really even missing. And she makes sure that parents and the public knows how to identify those, and she'll make different posts and let people know, because it's important, especially when it involves children, that we or someone, a missing person, that we time is of the essence. And a lot of times it has to be done, like if we can get it out there on social media. I have a friend right now, and Amber Davy, and her son has been missing since Saturday night. I don't know if we have any more news, Lynda, but I don't know if that's even one that I know you had reposted it, but
13.
Anyway, so these are unfortunate things that happen. And so we want to make sure that people know what to do when they happen. And so reach out to Lynda and make sure, because she is the pro and she trains these people and anyway. And so I just wanted to thank you once again for coming or showing up, and for our viewers, Merv and Steph and the others that have come on and watched. This was a fun show, and
this was fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So I look forward to seeing you. I think we're going to see each other real soon, actually.
We are.
Oh, thank you, Merv. Thanks very much for watching. Anyway, this is great. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend. It's finally cooled down here in Southern California, so it's a little bit, tolerable. Actually, it's really nice right now, because my the last week has been, I don't do well in the heat. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm really enjoying this cooler weather. So anyway, thanks again for everyone joining, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thanks, Lynda.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.